For the second time in a little over a year, the Queensland town of Roma is mopping up after severe flooding. But when the clean-up's done, the region will still be grappling with a serious long-term problem: not enough workers. Getting people off welfare and into work will be a focus of the May budget, and shortly I'll be speaking with the Treasurer, Wayne Swan. But first to Leigh Sales, who's taken to the road to have a hard look at labour shortages.
One of the biggest issues facing our country is a national skills shortage. It sounds a bit dry, I know, but stick with me. If you live somewhere where it's hard to get in to see a GP, or you can't find a builder for months at a time, the skills shortage is part of the reason why. I'm here in Western Queensland, where the issue's biting especially hard. Thanks to the resources boom, the town of Roma, with its 7,000 residents, has unemployment hovering around 2%. But that's not as ideal as it might first sound. In this story, we'll use Roma as a snapshot to show you how Australia-wide shortages of skilled workers are challenging everyone from the biggest multi-billion-dollar mining companies to the smallest mum and dad businesses. Welcome to a sort of modern-day gold rush, where workers fly in and out of towns around Australia, like Roma, to take advantage of the resources boom. They fly in because there aren't enough local people to meet requirements. Workers are in hot demand, and it's small businesses really feeling the pinch. Spare a thought for Sandy Kelly and her husband Brett, trying to run the local pizza shop.
In the first 18 months, we had 96 people come and go.
In just a little local pizza shop?
Yep.
That's more than one a week. Roma's growth means they've never had so many orders for pizza, but they can't hold on to staff.
There are a lot of other jobs out there that have better long-term prospects, probably a higher pay rate, and we're probably seen as the bottom of the chain in the employment.
In terms of desirability.
In desirability.
So safely, we're looking at a JO.
And why would you work in a pizza shop if you're a young person in Roma?
Why would we be servicing it?
So it stays in top running order.
So you don't have any breakdowns and
to prevent any defects that may be starting to occur in it.
Yeah, and
these teenagers go to a TAFE course as part of their school curriculum. It's sponsored by the mining giant Santos, which is constantly hungry for apprentices, engineers and mechanics.
Gently, gently.
Those skills are in such short supply that if these boys want, they can leave school at the end of grade 10 and command starting salaries of up to $100,000.
It's a fact of life here with the coal seam gas industry and all the activity that's going on. There's no shortage of jobs and well-paid jobs, and it's a blessing for our community, but at the same time we've got to manage those negative impacts.
Pubs, shops, small businesses, they're all struggling to find workers.
These businesses along here, are they sort of all affected as well? Any sort of retail?
Yeah, all of these are.
Right.
All the ones across the road.
The local mayor, Robert Luffnan, says some of the answer has come from overseas.
The foreign workers who've come in to fill some of those jobs, they're gratefully accepted.
Especially by businesses who've done everything they can to find Australian workers.
We have offered $80,000 a year plus looking after their rental expenses, and we've had not one applicant from Australia. So, and we did that for 4 months. You got an oil leak underneath, Banjo?
The local Toyota dealer and mechanic is one business bringing in foreign workers under the federal government's 457 visa scheme. The area operations manager, Brett Morgan, travels to the Philippines regularly to recruit workers for 4-year stints.
I don't think everyone agrees with it. We only do it purely out of necessity. It's either we have them or we don't have it. We can't operate.
Unions strongly oppose the 457 scheme because they think it undermines local workers. The other problem is that it isn't cheap, easy or quick.
I think the last group of workers we had took close to 12 months from the date I went there to the day they landed in Australia.
At the big business end, the mining companies might have more money and power at their disposal than anyone else out here, but even they're struggling to get the workers they need locally.
I think already we've been talking to the federal government about getting those people into the country to help us with the project, and I think the country does need to encourage those skill sets into Australia as well.
Sam Class is the area manager for Santos. Not only does the company have to fly in part of its workforce, it's also had to build its own accommodation because there's insufficient housing.
We've got camps out of town that we accommodate them in. We think it's the best of both worlds, that we're able to keep them segregated from the town, but all the services that associated with it, with all the money that they spend, is still spent in the town.
The shortage of skilled workers is only going to get worse because there are billions of dollars of additional development planned for this region in the next decade.
Don't imagine that the skills shortage is just confined to places like Roma. It's affecting cities and towns and businesses all over the country. It's a pressing government priority, and it's closely tied to controversial policy areas like population growth and immigration.
Around Australia, all sorts of occupations are in short supply. It varies from region to region, but generally Western Australia and Queensland will be hungriest for workers in the future and potentially drain them from other states.
But given the long-term nature of any effective solution to this kind of problem, it's one that the government ought to be working on solutions to over the next 2 or 3 years, because if they don't, then some of those consequences in terms either of opportunities foregone or unsustainable upward pressure on wages could come home to bite us in a very nasty way.
Shortly, the federal government's due to release a population strategy, and it's meant to consider how Australia will meet its future labour needs. The government's already said it doesn't support a big Australia, which would appear to rule out any increase in skilled migration. Last week, the Prime Minister flagged moving people from welfare to work as one solution.
I know there is more we can do to build participation and to make work pay.
But that alone won't help the Prime Minister fully address the skills shortage, so business will be watching next month's federal budget hoping for a broader plan.